everyone, welcome to the third episode of our online mixing and mastering course for beginners. I hope you've been following along and learning a few things. For this episode, we are going to be learning gain staging. So, what is gain staging? Gain staging is the process of adjusting individual gain of each track in a song or a project to maintain a balanced level while making sure that we leave enough headroom and we do not increase the noise floor. So what do I mean by headroom? I am going to show you that right now. So to understand headroom, I want us to go to this master channel here. And to quickly explain, let's go to the other tab, the other view rather. So if you look at the beats, you see that everything is routed to our master track. You see audio to master on the beat. If you check the lead vocal, the same thing, right? And then the ones that are under a group are routed to the group itself. Like main vocals is routed to this group, and then this group is routed to the master track. So everything that we're recording, and when we start adding effects to, they're all routed to the master track. So basically our headroom is the difference between wherever our volume is peaking at. It could be anything from this -60 to -12. So the headroom is the space between this. Let's say our fader is on like -12. Our headroom is the difference between -12 and this 0. So let's play this song and see where our peak is at. As you can see, this is exceeding 12, is almost at like -6-ish, very close to 0, which means we do not have a lot of headroom, and you can tell like it's giving a -2.9 here. We do not have a lot of space. So, and when you're mixing, it is advisable to at least make sure your peak does not exceed -6 up here, so that you can have enough space, to let the song breathe. And also when later mastering the song, you can make sure that the song does not end up being squashed together, because when you're mastering, even though the aim of mastering is just not loudness, but eventually the song gets louder, and if it's already so loud in the mix process that it's way too loud, the song might get squashed. So it's important that we are mixing, try and maintain at least like a -6 headroom. So it's like, let's assume that there's a really tall person and the person is like 6'5" or 6'8" or whatever. I don't know if that even exists, but then a really tall person, and then the room the person is around 7 feet. The person would be so scared to move, because any little thing, the person's head might hit the ceiling. So it's important that when you're mixing, leave a little bit of headroom. So if you're building a house for like giants, the house really has to have like a really high ceiling, so that there can be space between their head and the ceiling. So that's really one thing that gain staging does. So let's go back to the session V. When we check all of these tracks now and we adjust the volumes to a level that is quite balanced out, is the vocals are not too loud, are not louder than the beats. The beat is not way overshadowing the vocals and everything, and we maintain a volume that is around, at least, the space is around -6-ish. I think that is a good place for our mix to be. And we must keep in mind that when we start adding effects, there is a likelihood that our volume is going to go up, because if you think about adding an equalizer, they all have gain knobs. An equalizer has a gain. Now let's just use an example right now. EQ8. Okay, we already even have an EQ8 on here. Let's also add the Ableton compressor. I'm going to let you understand why I'm doing this, by the way. So if you look at EQ8 and you're looking at these knobs we have here, which I'm going to explain all of this when we get to equalization and frequencies, by the way. But you see this knob, let's say I pick this particular frequency and I boosted it. At this point, there's already a gain increase, yeah, and this is going to reflect on our master track. Let's play that and see. Actually, let's say I increase this, I come on here and do this. I mean, this is quite extreme, but let's just see what happens.
Like you,
let's go look at what is going on. Can you see that is worse? At before we added this EQ, this boost, it was on a minus 2.9 or something, and now we are hitting like 0.15. You can see it's turning red. When it starts turning red like that, it's already clipping, and that can lead to distortion, and your vocals can get just squashed, and the vocals lose quality. The sound loses quality as this kind of things begin to happen. So it's important that we put our volume at a level that allows us to be able to add effects without, dire consequences. So if we do the same thing for compressor, we tweaked anything there, there's a probability that it's going to go up too. So let's just keep that in mind. And this is why gain staging is a very important step in mixing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjust all of these levels. One thing I like to do with my gain staging sometimes is I solo each track and see how loud it gets on my master track. Let's solo the beat and see what's going on. Even the beats already alone is like minus 12. So I already feel like the beat is quite loud compared to the rest of the vocals. So I'm going to be reducing that. I selected the clip right here and I come on that gain here and reduce it. Let's see how it looks on the master now. Okay, it's kind of better. So, but then when you're gain staging, you just don't gain stage one thing alone, right? You gain stage the vocals into the mix. You just don't like solo everything like that, because everything needs to balance. So we do it one after the other, but into each other. Let's see. Let's play. I want to solo this main because I'll just see how it sounds like.
Over and suffer. It's not your style to look over your shoulders, baby. Baby, I'm sorry that you lost your...
Wait, something is not right here. I think I'm gonna have to fix that. It's probably in the backups. Probably not exported right, but something is clashing.
I'm sorry that you lost your way, baby. Look over your shoulders. It's not your vibe to
Anyways,
it's over.
I'll probably have fixed it.
It's not your style to look over your shoulders, baby. Baby, I'm sorry that you lost your way, baby.
So we're just going to adjust the volumes and see, make it balanced. And so the thing is, I already kind of balanced the vocals out before I sent the stems. So mainly the thing is just to adjust our beats to match everything. Anyways, let's play this and see.
It's over, it's over. It's not your
Right now we have like a minus
over your shoulders.
And I really want us to be on like minus 2. But then I can work with this. This is workable.
It's not your style to look over.
One thing I would advise that we do when it comes to gain staging is putting a limiter on our master. Although we've not explained what a limiter is, but we are going to get there. One thing about the master is it works like a written track, so you can put effects on there even though you can't record on it, right? So we're going to find a button limiter and put it on it. We're going to get to limiters, right, and explain it properly when we get under dynamics and compression. But when you put what a limiter basically does, it makes a brick wall for you and at a particular level, and you can say that after this particular volume, nothing should exceed this particular level that I have already set. That's just the way a limiter works. So when you put that limiter, it makes sure that your volume doesn't get past a particular point. That's the purpose of using a limiter in your masters, but it's not compulsory, and if it's confusing, you just ignore this part till we get to compression, dynamics, and limiters, where when you understand better, you understand why we are doing this.
It's over, it's over. It's not your style to look over your shoulders. It's not your vibe to do. You know the world is waiting on you. Remember how you used to move. The city lights are shining for you. I'm sorry you've been so confused. You know the time's not waiting for you. If you want it, I can be.
As you can see, I set this to a -6.
You
The
want
limiter
to
to a
do.
-6, and if you
You
can see,
want
it's
to
not
do. I'm hitting your
right here.
blues.
It's just it's in a
till
minus
it's
12,
over
which is a
and
safe
suffer.
place to be.
It's slowing
So
down
let's
till the clock.
So basically, for gain staging, the most important thing to us is that we are keeping it in the green zone. We don't want our faders to start looking red and scary. We don't want that. So make sure you keep it in the green zone when you're gain staging. Make sure that your vocals, the beats, everything that is playing together is in the green zone. And one way to get that done is by putting in a limiter on your master to just guide you so that you don't exceed where you are supposed to. Okay, so one thing I want to mention before we finish this episode is how to save, because I know some of you are tired at this point and you just want to rest and come back to the tutorial. So if you've been going along and you've been at this and you need to save your file, this is how to do that. So you come on file, or you just press Ctrl S actually, but then let's just say Ctrl S right here. If you go on file, save live set, so it brings it to your file. Then let's look for the folder. I did create a folder for the course. I think this is this one. So let's just say it's under classwork and tutorial. What's the tutorial? And then we just save. And just like that, our project is saved. So if you've been wondering, how do I save my project? And so this is how to save it. And then you just go under the file that you saved it at to retrieve it, or you come underneath here from recent, and then you see, your latest folder here when you open Ableton Live. So that's it for this class. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things. For the next episode, we are going to be discussing frequency and the famous EQ, equalization. See you then.